Hello, everyday leaders. Today is Friday. It's December the 18th. Oh my goodness, it has been such a busy week. I just finished doing a virtual panel for breast cancer survivors a little bit ago, and that was amazing to hear all of the women's stories and men that are surviving breast cancer. And this is the time of the year where we're so just intentional about celebrating people that have survived. And if you have just been following this week, I am Melanie Ake with the Everyday Leaders platform, and I am bringing people of inspiration that are pivoting and influencing their lives in so many ways. And I thought it was just appropriate today to also bring one of our 50 and 50 podcast guests on to celebrate his journey. Craig Zaleski, you and I were connected through another John Maxwell friend of mine, Kelly Owens, Nice Owens. Let me get that right, Kelly Nice Owens.
Yes.
And so she said, "You have got to meet Craig." And so earlier this year, we connected, and you were sharing your story with me, and I just, what my heart just was so connected to yours because of the survivor blood that you have in you and what you taught people on our podcast. So thank you for just being so gracious to come back and live share your story and just the highlights of things that you've learned and are learning. And so I just appreciate you. Thank you.
You're very welcome, Melanie. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, this is awesome. So you're in Alabama, so give people a geographic perspective. And um, and so your background, you were in the military, and take us through kind of your life up into this point in. And I really want to focus on what you're learning here through the lessons of your survivorship, of what you're going to talk to us about.
Okay. I am a retired Air Force after 21 years of best time of my life. I was a ground flight line mechanic, watching an air show every day for 21 years. If you can imagine, most of the civilian population gets to see an air show maybe a year, maybe every couple of years or something like that. And I did it for every day. Loved it, loved it, loved it. Would do every minute of it all over again. I was stationed in Okinawa, Japan, small little island south of the mainland of Japan, and was feeling this constant head pressure in late 2011, all the way through 2012. Constant head pressure kept getting worse, but I'm a guy. And I did go to the doctor one time because I assumed it was a sinus infection. Well, it turns out that it wasn't a sinus infection. My family and I had gone to church one Sunday morning, and we came home from church, and my 10-year-old son at the time thought it would be cool to be able to unlock the door to go into our house. And for some reason that morning, I put my hand up on a pillar that's in front of our door, and I started shaking. Come to find out, that was a seizure. I had never had a seizure before. And we went to the doc. Well, later that week, my wife didn't come with me the first time, but she came with me this time. And she said that I gave the doc my story, told him what had happened. And then she told her side of the story. And she said, that man sitting across from you is not the man that I married. That's not the father of my kids. There is something wrong with him. You need to fix it. And I can't. She had a whole lot more heart feeling into it, but the doc reluctantly said, "Okay, fine, we'll send you over and we'll get you an MRI." Well, a couple weeks later, got the appointment with the MRI, and the radiologist said, "Hey, we'll call you back about 72 hours, give you the results." Well, they called me back in 30 minutes. and they had diagnosed me with a grapefruit-sized brain tumor in my head. Funny thing is I asked my son about this last night because I didn't remember anyone's reaction to it. My reaction was, well, okay, got a brain tumor. Didn't really know what that meant. But everyone else around me, including definitely to include my family, knew how severe this was. I was medevaced off of Okinawa 3 days later to Tripler Army Medical Center, where I got my brain tumor removed. But if I can back up just a smidge, I went to my boss after my MRI and told her what had happened, what I'd been diagnosed with. And she almost fell out of her chair because she did not see this coming at all. And I told her, basically, I said, hey, I'm going to go get this brain tumor thing removed out of my head. Should be back in about a month. And I'll be back to work. And lo and behold, 3 days later, when I left Okinawa and got medevaced off, I never went back to Okinawa. I spent 200 straight days in the hospital. Everything to include what we're even actually doing right now, talking. I had to relearn all over again. I had to relearn how to walk, relearn how to talk, eat, even as much as have the strength to hold my eyelids open, which I take for granted now, or it just happens automatically. But I had to relearn how to get the strength to do that again. Ended up medically retiring from the Air Force after 21 years. Wasn't ready to go, but I always had a firm belief that if I couldn't deploy and serve my nation the way I was supposed to serve it, that I needed to step out of the way. And I fought a little bit to stay in, and I gave him some suggestions to let me stay in, but that didn't happen. So I retired in 2014. Took me a couple of years to get everything realigned back in my brain and get everything firing in the right direction. And 2016, I was able to get another job working at the VA hospital here in Montgomery, Alabama. Still continuing to serving my brothers and sisters that I'd served with. And it was awesome. I'm kind of a sarcastic kind of guy. I like to joke. I'm lighthearted, and the sarcasm in the military is different than the sarcasm here. And I could joke with other veterans in the hospital and have fun with them. And it was where I was supposed to be at that time. And I worked there for a good 3 years. And just a couple months ago, I got a job offer from a company called Johnson Controls to be a site supervisor. Still here in the VA here in Montgomery, but if everything goes the way I'd like it to go, which granted for my transition out of the military, yeah, I wanted to stay in the military for as long as I wanted. But God has that power to say, well, no, we're gonna work this way, and I'm just blessed to be able to continue to be working, be able to continue to support my children, and inspire them to know that, hey, their dad fought pretty stinking rotten hard. They were by my bedside the whole entire time, but just to be here to support them now and to inspire them and to inspire other people that go through a traumatic event to say, hey, if you keep fighting and if you have faith, you're going to pull through this. You just got to mainly have the faith and be strong-willed, and sometimes listen to the doc and do what he or she says, and you'll make it.
You're such an inspiration, Craig, because I think so many people right now are struggling with just things in their life that have changed. And as a result of COVID or as a result of things that they can't control. And you are just the epitome of a story that says, but what is my purpose? Why am I here? If I can't do this the way that I had envisioned it, there's got to be something bigger and deeper that I can do to contribute to the world. And that's exactly how you pivoted. And I want to share, I've brought up, just if you Google Craig Zaleski, there are so many pictures of things that you have been a champion for. And so I'd like to share those. And if you could just kind of lead us through some of those photographs and the stages that you were in, because I know your surgery, and then you've been a champion. You have been competing world class. And it's amazing to think about, when when you change your mindset, things that happen that you can actually achieve next. And there's big things waiting for you. So I really want to celebrate you. And I'm going to share this now. So if you Google Craig Zaleski and you see all these images come up, Craig, take us through some of the points in your life that were kind of this transition. And so as we look at here, um, running and competing, right? And I think about having that mindset to go from being in a hospital bed and diagnosed with something that you thought, well, I didn't know about this. I just thought I had a sinus infection, and then really having to deal with the effects of now what do we do, right? What do we do next? So how did you get into the next mindset?
During my time, my 200 days in the hospital, the Air Force Wounded Warrior, which is a support element that each DoD of the armed forces has, they picked me up and they started following me, and they helped me. First of all, they helped me transition from active duty to a veteran status. My non-medical care manager, Brandy, she helped me tremendously through this whole deal. And there was one day when I was talking to her on the phone, and for a while we talked almost daily. I said, I want to compete. I want to get back to what was Craig Zaleski. And she got me into our competitive side of the Air Force Wounded Warrior program. And I went to a camp in January 2015 in San Antonio, Texas. Some of these pictures, the one showing me that I've got a shot put in my hand. I'd never thrown a shot put before. And that picture right there, I never knew how much stress you could relieve from just throwing a lead ball 20, 30 feet. It felt awesome. I was able to, it was literally in my element. There's a picture of me shooting a pistol, a pellet gun. Mm-hmm. It was competitive shooting that we had. Archery, I've always loved shooting archery. There's one up there where I competed in the Air Force Wounded Warrior Games. I represented the Air Force, and I didn't medal, but I was there competing, and that was in Quantico Marine Corps base in DC. And yes, I competed. 2015, I competed in the Air Force in the Wounded Warrior Games, and it it helped me get back to me. It took a good 2 years, and this was a awesome time to help me. This was an awesome thing to help me get back to Craig Zaleski, not the guy that's in the hospital, but get back to me. There's a picture right in the middle of my family and I, and that's in Hawaii. I don't remember getting this picture taken because shortly before I went into surgery, I don't remember pretty much from August of 2012 until January, or the Super Bowl of 2013. And I specifically remember it was San Francisco 49ers versus the Baltimore Ravens. That was my first good solid memory for almost 5 months. There's a picture right next to my family where I'm in my uniform and I retired, and that was at my retirement ceremony. But yeah, there's some good pictures there. I can't see some of the smaller ones that are up on top.
Let me see if I can. I'm going to go to the next. Go ahead and keep talking. I'm going to see if I can enlarge some of these on the other screen.
They're it's just awesome to be able to fight through what I fought through and be able to relearn how to do everything that pretty much we take for granted. You know, I speak at the Air Force Base that's near me here, and I asked the question, you know, how many times have you learned how to walk in your life? And most people will say, well, one time, and that was when they were a toddler, you know, learning how to walk. I've had to learn how to walk twice in my life. I learned how to walk with my son holding a wheelchair behind me and a therapist holding me up on my chest, and one guy literally just pulling my feet forward, getting the motion down. I reflect back on a lot of these pictures. I've got a hard drive here that every once in a while, when I need to gain perspective back and see, hey, this is what you fought through, Craig, and then learn to appreciate what I've been given back again. It's 8 years ago, and it still tears me up every time I talk about it. And that's pretty much some of these pictures and some of this stuff. That's all it is an inspiration, because you don't see the pictures of me laying in a hospital. They don't see me with tubes and stuff all hanging around me and all of that. A lot of people think that when they hear of wounded warrior, that it's a battlefield injury. I'm here to tell you it's not a battlefield injury, but I battled for quite a long time. And am I blessed for every day that I have now? Absolutely. I appreciate life more than I've ever had. And it's just a blessing to be able to be here, to be my children's father, and also even down to this point of where I'm talking and sharing my story here with you, Melanie.
Mm-hmm. You know, I think, you know, this isn't always easy. I've been listening to so many people share their stories for over 4 years, and I think the heart of why you kind of have survived, I think there's a component to all of our lives that we say, well, if I ever had to get through something like that, you know, my family would help me, or I would just figure it out. But I think there's this spirit that you have within you that just decides, right? That there is a purpose for your life. There is something that's bigger that you're here for, and maybe it's not designed the way you intentionally planned it. Maybe you just kind of give up, right, the right to say, "Oh, I have to do it this way," and because the lessons that you can teach so many other people through your journey are really, really powerful. And
It's funny. My dad was a truck driver my entire life that I was growing up, and there's only been two states that he had never made it to up to the time when I got diagnosed, and that was Alaska and Hawaii. Well, I got him to Hawaii, uh, not through his truck driving, I know that, but I got him to Hawaii, so now he can say he's been to 49 out of 50 states. So
Wow. Wow. I don't know if we can see this. I guess if I kind of bring it over here, the screen gets a little weird, but being able to share as we go through here some of these on the right side of the screen. I don't know if it's moving that way. Let me kind of go back here. There's so much, Craig, that we celebrate about you, and I want you to kind of talk to us. What's changed through COVID for you? Because you're a fighter, you're a survivor, and so what's happened over these last 9 months? Just understanding that you can get through anything. How has that mindset
uh,
you?
great point, Melanie. Yeah, I haven't been scared at all. Have I taken the precautions out of respect for everyone around me? Yes. Do I wear a mask whenever I go into a public place? Yes, because one, I believe it makes other people that are near me feel confident to be able to walk around me or know that I care about their health just as much as they care about my health. I don't, but I work at a hospital, and that's it. It's just it's funny to I'm not. It hasn't affected me. It hasn't slowed me down one bit. I press forward every day. Uh, there's sometimes I kind of joke about it. So like, well, I've had all of these little shots throughout my 21 years in the military, and had all of these injections to protect me from all of this other stuff. I think it kind of looks at me and says, "Nah, we ain't gonna get into that guy. We're gonna go move on to somebody else because he can't be penetrated." I did want to show you, Melanie. I believe you've seen pictures of me, but if you can see, like right here, I've got a scar from here to here, all the way through. And when they took my brain tumor out, usually this is how I compare it. Like my brain tumor was this, and this is my brain. It was kind of squished to the back of my head. When they took my tumor out, my brain went boing, and it hemorrhaged. It swelled, and they had to take my whole forehead out so that way my brain could swell and do what it needed to do so it could come back down. But I have a synthetic forehead now. I don't have a bone. And this is kind of a funny thing is when I do tell my story, yes, I have a synthetic forehead. I make it through the airport fine. I don't set off any alarms. No, it doesn't beep when I go through any metal detectors. But this scar humbles me every day. It keeps me in check, and it's a good reminder and a blessing of where I was. And I was a pretty strong guy prior to this happening, and I'm much more solid now than what I was before. And this moved me, and it changed my perspective a lot. But I believe harder than I did before, and there's a lot of things that came out of this brain tumor experience that changed my life for the better. And to hear people when I was first getting diagnosed that there was possibility I would never walk again, it's possibility I might not even be here when I got through with the brain tumor. To be sitting here talking to you, Melanie, and everybody else that's listening, it's an awesome feeling, and it humbles me consistently.
Wow. There are no words. There are no words, none of us have been on this journey that you have. All of us have been on some journey, and that's why I really thought it was so important. This was kind of a God nudge, as I've been constantly reminded, these last couple of weeks, that when we get these things to say, "Hey, this is a person that needs to be able to share a message. There's somebody out here that needs to hear a sign of hope," right? A sign that you can conquer anything in your life, and again, it may not look like you had planned it to, it may not be linear, it may be messy, it may it may make you grow, it may make you do different things, but the things that you can do that are waiting for you beyond that fear are right there waiting for you, and, so, Craig, I celebrate you in so many ways because of your strength and encouragement, especially now to others, giving back to what you're doing every single day and helping and contributing in such a bigger part in the world.
Thank you, Melanie. I appreciate it so much. That's the main goal, is I want to impact and inspire. Uh, and there's not. I walk into the hospital here at the VA hospital here in Montgomery, and if I forget something, forget to do something at work, and I say, "Dang, well, I forgot. I had brain surgery. Sue me." And people will stop and they'll be like, "Really?" And I'm like, "Yeah, really, but I can joke about it." No, I just genuinely forgot. It's not because I had brain surgery. I just genuinely forgot, but I can use it as an excuse. And there's not a lot of people that can say that. Uh, and I laugh about it and I get them to lighten up. I take everything. There's not a lot that can upset me. Uh, I take everything in stride and just thank God that I'm here to be able to experience and do what I do. Uh,
Mhm.
so I'm blessed. I appreciate it. Uh, Melanie, you got a big smile from ear to ear.
Inspiring us, I mean, really keep inspiring us because I want you to come back as much as you would like to share on your journey of just how we can be better leaders of our own lives and really take that ownership. So many of us right now through COVID have been struggling, and it can become a pity party, right? It's all me and oh
Yes,
my gosh, and so things happen to us, but we have to kind of become bigger through that. And so you're just really a great story of inspiration, and I really want people to hear your story that haven't. And so, how can people connect to you, Craig? I know you've got LinkedIn, Craig Zaleski. You're on Facebook, and
mhm.
and so what else are you planning on doing? Do you have any big kind of dreams here in the next, after COVID? Are you going to compete in any more, you know, marathons, or what are you gonna get involved with next?
I would. I had forgot to bring that up. Like I said, in 2013, I learned how to walk again. In 2019, I completed the Montgomery half marathon, which is 13.1 miles, and then later on that year, I completed the Air Force marathon, which is 26.2 miles. I did the Montgomery half marathon this past year, albeit not official because we just went under COVID and we couldn't officially compete. But we had been training for that long, and there was nothing going to hold us back from running 13.1 miles. And several of us, including Kelly, ran that day. I actually had a personal best of 2 hours, 22 minutes running that. And my next race is in March, where we'll be running the Montgomery half marathon again. This will be 3 years in a row. Uh,
Wow.
yes, and I'm totally looking forward to it. Uh, I'm shooting for another personal best. Uh, it didn't help this morning that I woke up late and I was supposed to go run before this, but I'll fit that in. That's my next goal, is to do that. Uh, I don't know that I'll be able to do another marathon again because the training for a marathon is pretty intense and pretty hard.
Mhm.
Up a lot of time, but if I'm asked to do it, I will make it happen. So uh,
That's
that's my next challenge, is in March, to get ready for this.
What's one thing, Craig, that you want to leave for people that are, here we are 9 months and we're quarantined and things have changed. What's the one thing that you want people to take away to start implementing into their life?
Oh, we're going to get through this. We're going to get through it better than we were. I think we've learned a lot as a society worldwide on what we can and can't do. I think our lives are changed a lot. To even like my kids, they're both going to college, but they've done a lot of college this past semester virtually. Huh? Who'd have thought that we could have done that? But we did, and they did, and I still think there's more changes for us, but I think they're all for the better. But we just got to keep fighting. We got to stay the course. We got to do what our experts are simply asking us to do, and we'll make it through this, and we will be a stronger society when we get through it. Mm. Just like, I mean, and I'm not bragging. I'm just telling you, I'm a stronger guy now than what I was before, and that's what keeps me humbled and but also positive in the same step.
Oh my goodness. There are no words for you. You light up our room and our hearts, and I just so appreciate you. I just so appreciate you. I I just am honored to have you in my life to be able to say, "Hey, let's inspire the world, right? Let's change the world." And
Yes.
and so I wish you all the best, Craig. I thank you so much for joining us today and just resharing your story. And I've shared the podcast here, the original podcast that we did together. And so if there's anything that we can do for you as well to help you and celebrate you and get your messages out, please don't hesitate to let us know how we can be of service to you. We just are so proud of your accomplishments.
Thank you, Melanie. There will be. I'm still getting settled into my new house here, but there is something that I want to talk to you about offline after this. But sorry about that. I meant to.
That's okay. We will do that. We will do that because, that's kind of what we say as everyday leaders. We collaborate in so many
Right.
ways. We just begin to collaborate and figure out how can we show up and serve, and so, that's part of this journey, and if we're not doing that, this is going across LinkedIn and YouTube and all the Facebook pages, so if you connected to this and you have found some, source of inspiration, which I know all of you will, please hashtag replay and just connect to Craig. Tell him what has inspired you today about his story and connect to him because that's what we need to do is give back to everybody, especially this time of the year. Christmas is just right around the corner here next week. And it really is about celebrating who we are, why we exist, and what we can do to contribute to the world. So, Craig, thank you again so much for joining us and have a very, very Merry Christmas.
You as well, Melanie. Thank you for this opportunity again. And yes, anytime that I am needed, please feel free to reach out, and I will be there.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, my friend. Have a great weekend and stay safe, okay?
You too, Melanie.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.